Muni Boga, the CEO and founder of Kudos.
Muni, it's really a pleasure to meet you, and I'm happy to be speaking with you today. Thanks so much for taking the time. Can you just begin easy by introducing yourself and Kudos and what you do?
Yeah, thank you, Tim. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm looking forward to being a part of it. Yeah, when it comes to myself and my role at Kudos, I'm really focused on our vision, right? How are we creating our vision? How are we activating our vision inside the organization, and our people? So, when it comes to our culture, how do we nurture our culture? How do we ignite and motivate people? And so those are really core areas that I tend to focus on personally. And so, the organization itself, we're based out of Calgary. We're an HR technology company, and we focus on virtualizing employee recognition and culture. And so, virtualizing today means a lot of different things. And I think what I would say is that there's many organizations out there that either don't have an employee recognition platform, or they have a legacy platform that is really focused on rewards. And so when it comes to Kudos, we go to the heart of how do we motivate people? How do we engage with people? Like truly, right? Not about providing them with an incentive, but really how do we engage with them and connect with them? And that's where we tend to focus primarily on recognition, right? There's a big difference between recognition and rewards. And when it comes to our recognition, it's values aligned, it's culture aligned. We have cultural enablement tools inside of the platform, but the focus really is about driving that culture forward, because we know that with great culture comes great retention, comes great recruitment, and better business, right? More profitable business, more productive business.
Well, look, you're someone who's grown a very impressive company within the Canadian entrepreneurial ecosystem. So I'd like to know how you describe that ecosystem. What are its strengths? What are its weaknesses? How would you describe the environment that you operate in?
The Canadian ecosystem with respect to entrepreneurialism is very interesting, right? I mean, the history behind it. I mean, there's been pockets of entrepreneurialism all over the country. But when you think about technology, which is our space, for the longest time, it was really the Toronto Waterloo corridor. It was really, that was where, the tech companies were. And that's changing, right? There's many cities across Canada now that have great cultural ecosystems that are developing. Even here in Calgary, as an example, the tech ecosystem is flourishing. It's not like the good old oil and gas days of yesterday, right? The days are better, and we're focusing on building a brighter future. And so I think when it comes to even Calgary here and the landscape, we're an HR tech firm, right? But there's a number of successful HR tech firms here in Calgary. There's Benevity, there's Absorb, and they're all in the similar category as us. So it's interesting to see how there is that sort of specialization across various parts of Canada. I think when it comes to our strengths, it's really about our people, really. It's, we've got some of the best talent in the world. I think it's world renowned in terms of talent. You see that in terms of, a lot of organizations are trying to get people from Canada and to join their organizations. And, we've got some of the greatest schools around as well. So, this talent is innovative, right? They're resilient. They're very unique in that way. And it's not just the talent that exists, because talent creates these businesses. So these businesses become resilient and these businesses become innovative. So I think that's really where it boils down to, like our strengths. In terms of weaknesses, while the ecosystem has been growing and while it's been building in the various different regions, I think it's siloed. I think one of the things that we see is that, there's Calgary, there's Toronto, there's Vancouver, there's Montreal, there's all these different areas. And of course, they have to operate the way they have to operate. But when you think about what is Canada's strength, right? How do we represent ourselves globally? I think there's really an opportunity for us there. I think an opportunity to come together as a country.
Now, one of the challenges that's sort of been perennial for Canadian startups and scale ups has been a challenge in terms of access to capital.
Hmm.
Um, you recently took on an investment from CBGF, the Canadian Business Growth Fund. I'd like to know how meaningful that was for you and what it's going to mean for Kudos going forward. What will it enable you to do in terms of your growth and your plans going forward?
I think when it comes to capital in Canada, there's a lot of capital. There's The difference is that the capital type is very different, right? Whether you're raising in Canada, whether you're raising from a U.S. firm, or whether you're raising from private equity or venture, they're all different flavors, and they come with a different outlook, right? And I think one of the things for consideration is really finding the right partner. Um, and I think that's what we did with CBGF. I think we were lucky to find the right company for us. There was a really strong values alignment with respect to their organization, our organization. This opportunity, I mean, I'm going to turn back the clock, call it, um, 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, when we would go into organizations and talk about recognition, people would say, oh, recognition, we don't need that. We'll just pay people more. And the reality is that that's not very sustainable, right? Something's got to give, and a paycheck can only take you so far. And what the pandemic has done for us is that really created that awareness, and because of that awareness, it's created market opportunity. And the market opportunity is something that, of course, CBGF saw with us, and that is really going to help us grow. I mean, with this capital, we're actually going to double in size, as we go to about 120 employees.
That's pretty awesome. With
Yeah, it's
what's
exciting.
your time frame on that? What's your estimate there?
Within the next 12 to 18 months.
Mooney, I want to push you forward towards a call to action or two. Uh, and I want to hear from you what you think has to be done, and specifically by who. And this could be government, it could be the private sector, academia, any other stakeholder, to really improve the support that we have for our entrepreneurs who are trying to start and scale companies here in Canada and hopefully get them to the stage where they become our next global champions.
That's a very important question, and I mean, I would talk to all of those groups, but I think I'm going to really focus on the prime minister or the government, should I say? When I think about the fact that we have our neighbor down to the south, they have a stronger currency, and they have a different orientation, right? They have a more aggressive orientation when it comes to business. Um, right now, what is happening specifically within the tech industry is that many of those organizations are taking our talent, right? And they're taking our talent, not just they're not just offering jobs, that's fine, but there's the currency piece, and in some cases they're offering up to double. When it comes to government, I think there's an opportunity here, um, and the opportunity is really about how do you incentivize the Canadian residents, the Canadian employees, to stay with Canadian corporations, right? So from that perspective, there could perhaps be some type of a program like a tax incentive um, that is really catered to people that actually work for CCPCs, right? Canadian controlled private corporations. And that could be something that's actually applicable to salary, or it could be something that's also applicable to options, as an example. But what it does is it equalizes the playing field, right? If you think about the US and the fact that they're offering, more money, well, you know what? If at the end of the day, it's all about what you take home. So if the Canadian government is providing a mechanism by which we can actually become more competitive, and it's not us necessarily becoming more competitive, but it's just incentivizing the residents or the employees from that perspective.